What if I told you there are places on Earth so deadly that even breathing the air could kill you? Locations where the ground beneath your feet could literally melt your shoes, where the water is more radioactive than a nuclear reactor, and where entire civilizations have vanished without a trace. Today, we're counting down the 10 most dangerous places on our planet. Destinations so perilous that governments have banned travel. Scientists require hazmat suits, and local legends speak of supernatural forces that claim lives without warning. From toxic wastelands that will remain deadly for thousands of years, to mysterious waters where ships and planes disappear into thin air. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why some places on Earth are simply not meant for human survival. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey to the most terrifying corners of our world. But first, hit that subscribe button, because after watching this video, you might never want to travel anywhere again. Coming in at number 10 is Death Valley, California. And trust me, the name says it all. This scorching hellscape holds the world record for the hottest air temperature ever recorded, a bone-melting 134 degrees Fahrenheit. But the real danger isn't just the heat, it's how quickly this place can kill you. Picture this. You're hiking through what looks like an alien landscape of salt flats and towering sand dunes. The ground temperature can reach 200 degrees, hot enough to cook an egg or give you third-degree burns through your shoes. Your body starts losing water faster than you can replace it, and within hours, dehydration turns deadly. But here's what makes Death Valley truly sinister. It's deceptively beautiful. Those shimmering heat mirages and colorful rock formations lure in hundreds of unprepared visitors every year. Search and rescue teams regularly find vehicles abandoned in the middle of nowhere, their occupants having wandered into the desert, never to return. The Park Service maintains a grim reminder. Over 100 people have died here, and many of their bodies were never recovered. At number 9, we have Brazil's Ilha de Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island, where every square meter is a potential death trap. This small island off the Brazilian coast is home to the world's deadliest concentration of venomous snakes. Imagine stepping onto what appears to be a tropical paradise, only to realize that between 2,000 and 4,000 golden lancehead vipers are hunting in the trees above your head. These aren't ordinary snakes. Their venom is so potent it can literally melt human flesh. One bite delivers enough toxin to kill a person in under an hour, causing excruciating internal bleeding and organ failure. The Brazilian government has made it illegal for civilians to visit Snake Island, and the only people allowed are researchers with military escorts. Local legends tell of the lighthouse keeper's family who lived on the island in the early 1900s. One night, snakes slithered through their windows and killed every single person in the house. The lighthouse has been automated ever since. Here's a chilling fact. These vipers have evolved to be 5 times more venomous than their mainland cousins, because they need to kill birds before they can fly away. If they can drop a bird from the sky in seconds, imagine what they could do to you. Number 8 takes us to North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal, a place where time has stood still for 60,000 years, and outsiders are met with deadly force. This isn't dangerous because of nature, it's dangerous because of its people. The Sentinelese tribe has lived in complete isolation for millennia, and they've made one thing crystal clear: visitors are not welcome. Anyone who attempts to land on their beaches is met with a hail of arrows and spears. In 2006, 2 fishermen who drifted too close were killed instantly. In 2018, an American missionary was shot to death within minutes of reaching the shore. But here's what makes this truly terrifying. The Indian government has declared the island off-limits and refuses to retrieve bodies. That missionary's corpse is still on the beach, a grim warning to anyone else who might consider visiting. The Sentinelese don't just kill intruders, they drag the bodies inland, and nobody knows what happens next. These aren't savage people, they're protecting themselves from diseases that could wipe out their entire population. But from their perspective, every outsider is a potential threat to their existence. Military helicopters that fly to low are met with arrows. Boats that venture within range become target practice. For the Sentinelese, violence isn't just a defense mechanism, it's a matter of survival. At number 7, we descend into hell on Earth, the Danakil Desert in Ethiopia. This isn't just hot, it's an active geological nightmare where the ground is literally trying to kill you. Picture a landscape that looks like an alien planet. sulfur springs bubbling with acid, salt formations that could slice through skin, and volcanic activity that sends toxic gases into the air. The Danakil Depression sits 400 feet below sea level, making it one of the lowest and hottest places on Earth, with temperatures regularly exceeding 125 degrees Fahrenheit. But the heat is just the beginning. The air is filled with sulfur dioxide and chlorine gas that can burn your lungs and eyes. The ground is unstable. Step in the wrong place, and you could fall into a pool of acid hot enough to dissolve bone. Salt miners who work here for just a few hours at a time require constant medical monitoring. Here's the truly unsettling part. This desert is slowly tearing Africa apart. The three tectonic plates beneath the surface are pulling away from each other, creating new ocean floor. Scientists believe that in a few million years, this entire region will be underwater. But right now, it's a toxic wasteland where every breath could be your last, and every step could send you plummeting into a geological death trap. Number 6 brings us to San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Once labeled the murder capital of the world, where violence isn't just common, it's a way of life. This isn't about natural disasters or wild animals. This is about human predators. At its worst, San Pedro Sula recorded over 180 murders per 100,000 residents. To put that in perspective, that's more than 20 times higher than most major American cities. Walking down the wrong street at the wrong time isn't just risky, it's potentially fatal. Drug cartels control entire neighborhoods, turning them into war zones where innocent civilians become collateral damage. Extortion is so common that small business owners are forced to pay war taxes just to stay alive. Police corruption runs so deep that calling for help might actually make you a bigger target. But here's what makes San Pedro Sula truly terrifying. The violence is random and unpredictable. Tourists have been killed for their phones, children have been murdered for witnessing crimes, and families have been wiped out simply for living in the wrong area. The city's morgues are so overwhelmed that bodies are stored in shipping containers. Even aid workers and journalists require armed escorts. The phrase "wrong place, wrong time" takes on a whole new meaning when any place could be wrong, and any time could be your last. At number 5, we climb to the world's ultimate death trap, Mount Everest, where the dream of reaching the top becomes a nightmare of frozen corpses and impossible choices. Everyone knows Everest is dangerous, but most people don't realize it's essentially a vertical graveyard. Over 300 bodies litter the mountain, and they're not buried. They're preserved forever in the ice, serving as grim landmarks for other climbers. The Green Boots Cave, named after a climber who died wearing green boots, is a famous waypoint that everyone must pass. But it's not just the altitude that kills, it's the mountain's psychological warfare. In the death zone above 26,000 feet, your brain literally starts dying from lack of oxygen. Climbers hallucinate, make fatal decisions, and sometimes walk past dying teammates because helping them would mean certain death. Here's the disturbing reality. Mount Everest has become a traffic jam of death. Lines of climbers wait for hours in the death zone, burning through precious oxygen while stepping over corpses. Some bodies have been on the mountain for decades, perfectly preserved, their eyes still open forever, staring at the summit they died trying to reach. The mountain doesn't discriminate. Experienced climbers die next to beginners, and sometimes the only difference between life and death is a single step in the wrong direction. Number 4 takes us inside a 20-kilometer radius of invisible death, the Fukushima exclusion zone, where radiation levels can kill you before you even realize you're dying. After the 2011 tsunami triggered a nuclear meltdown, this area became one of the most radioactive places on Earth. But here's what makes it truly terrifying. Radiation is completely undetectable without special equipment. You could be receiving a lethal dose and feel perfectly fine for days or even weeks. Walking through abandoned towns like Nami is like exploring a post-apocalyptic movie set. Children's toys scattered in empty playgrounds, meals still sitting on tables, cars abandoned mid-drive. But every breath you take, every surface you touch, could be contaminated with radioactive particles that will slowly destroy your DNA from the inside out. The radiation levels in some areas are so high that they would kill you in a matter of hours. Even with full protective gear, workers can only stay for short periods before their lifetime radiation exposure reaches dangerous limits. Wild animals that have returned to the zone show genetic mutations, two-headed butterflies, abnormally large plants, and behavioral changes that scientists are still studying. Here's the most chilling fact. This exclusion zone will remain deadly for thousands of years. Long after our civilization has crumbled, this invisible killer will still be claiming lives. At number 3, we enter Mogadishu, Somalia, a city where war isn't history, it's daily reality. And survival means navigating through constant crossfire. Mogadishu isn't just dangerous, it's a functioning war zone disguised as a capital city. Car bombs explode without warning, sniper fire can come from any window, and militant groups like Al-Shabaab turn everyday locations into battlefields. The phrase "wrong place, wrong time" doesn't apply here because every place is potentially wrong, and every time is dangerous. International aid workers require armored vehicles and military escorts just to deliver food. Journalists wear bulletproof vests to cover everyday stories. Even the airport is regularly attacked, making escape routes unreliable. The city's hospitals are so overwhelmed with casualties that triage decisions often come down to who has the best chance of surviving with limited resources. But here's what makes Mogadishu uniquely terrifying. The violence is completely unpredictable. A busy marketplace can become a bombing target. A peaceful neighborhood can turn into a war zone in minutes. Pirates control the coastline, making sea escape impossible, while land routes are controlled by various militant factions. The average life expectancy tells the whole story. It's among the lowest in the world. Not because of disease or poverty alone, but because violent death is a statistical likelihood rather than a remote possibility. Number 2 brings us to the site of humanity's worst nuclear disaster, Chernobyl, Ukraine, where an invisible enemy has claimed more lives than any war. The Chernobyl exclusion zone is a 30-kilometer radius of radioactive wasteland where time stopped on April 26, 1986. But unlike Fukushima, Chernobyl has had decades to show us what long-term radiation exposure really means. The elephant's foot, a mass of melted reactor core and concrete, is so radioactive that just looking at it for 5 minutes would kill you. The abandoned city of Pripyat is a perfectly preserved snapshot of the Soviet Union. But every building, every playground, every personal belonging is contaminated. The famous Ferris wheel stands as a monument to the thousands who died, not from the explosion itself, but from radiation sickness in the weeks and months that followed. What makes Chernobyl especially haunting is the wildlife. Animals have returned and appear to be thriving, but genetic studies show widespread mutations and shortened lifespans. If radiation can do this to animals adapted to survive in harsh conditions, imagine what it's doing to any human foolish enough to stay too long. Even today, the reactor requires constant monitoring and maintenance by workers, who can only stay for short shifts to limit their radiation exposure. The new containment structure is designed to last 100 years. But the radioactive material inside will remain deadly for over 20,000 years. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Number 1 on our list of the most dangerous places on Earth, the Bermuda Triangle, where the laws of physics seem to break down and reality itself becomes unreliable. This isn't about radiation or violence or extreme weather. This is about complete and total disappearances that defy explanation. Flight 19, 5 military aircraft that disappeared in 1945, is just the beginning. The rescue planes sent to find them also vanished. Commercial flights have lost radio contact only to reappear hours later with no memory of what happened, and fuel gauges that don't match the time elapsed. Ships have been found floating empty, their crews simply gone, meals still warm on the table. But here's what makes the Bermuda Triangle truly terrifying. The disappearances follow no pattern. Experienced pilots vanish alongside novices. Modern GPS systems fail without warning. Compass readings spin wildly, and electronic equipment shuts down for no reason. Scientists have proposed everything from methane gas bubbles that can sink ships instantly to magnetic anomalies that disrupt navigation systems. Others point to freak weather patterns that can generate waterspouts and microbursts powerful enough to destroy aircraft in seconds. But the truth is more disturbing. Despite decades of investigation, we still have no definitive explanation for why people simply vanish in this stretch of ocean, leaving behind only mysteries and unanswered questions. So there you have it, 10 places on Earth where death isn't just possible, it's probable. From the scorching hellscape of Death Valley to the mysterious waters of the Bermuda Triangle, our planet harbors locations that remind us just how fragile human life really is. What strikes me most about these places isn't just their individual dangers, but what they represent. Some, like Chernobyl and Fukushima, are monuments to human error. Others, like Mount Everest and Snake Island, show us nature's raw power. And places like the Bermuda Triangle remind us that even in our modern age, there are still mysteries that science cannot explain. But here's my question for you, and I want you to answer this in the comments below. If you absolutely had to visit one of these dangerous places, which would you choose and why? Would you brave the radioactive wasteland of Chernobyl for its haunting history? Risk the deadly snakes of Snake Island for a chance to see evolution in action? Or would you dare to fly through the Bermuda Triangle to potentially solve one of Earth's greatest mysteries? Whatever your answer, remember this: these places exist not to tempt us, but to humble us. They're reminders that, despite all our technology and knowledge, there are still corners of our world that remain unconquered and unconquerable. If this video made you think twice about your next vacation destination, smash that like button and subscribe for more content that will make you question everything you thought you knew about our world. And remember, some places are dangerous for a reason. Sometimes the best way to explore them is from the safety of your own home. Stay curious, but more importantly, stay alive.